To those of you who are participating through ReadyTalk, Twitter, and those who will be reviewing this webinar as a podcast or flash presentation later, hello. I'd like to welcome you to this session of the Product Management View series. I'm Val Workman from Ryma Technology Solutions, one of the sponsors of this webinar. I'd like to thank ReadyTalk for their generous support of the community and their sponsorship as well. I'd like to welcome Holly back from ReadyTalk, who's generously supplying all kinds of background support for our presentation and the community as a whole. Welcome and glad to have you with us today, Holly.
Great, thank you.
I'll be the moderator today, and it's my pleasure to welcome Mark Oakes, who will be our presenter of this week's webinar, Business Systems of Systems. I'm excited to see this launch of the new webinar series. It's going to be held every third Wednesday of each month. The new series, the CxO View, offers a C-level perspective of product management and product management issues. I consider today's webinar to be foundational to all these future webinars, and it should provide invaluable insight into those participating now and in the future, regardless if you're in product management or not. I'd even recommend grabbing the recording later and sharing it with your wives, spouses, and significant others. As early on as the communities of practice or syndicated COPs have been forming, I was able to meet with a gentleman, Trevor, who's the COP captain of the Anthropology Product Management COP, and we were talking about different cultural aspects of and frustration points of product management. It was at this time that we had the pleasure of being introduced to Mark Oakes and his work in. At the time, they called it blameless communities, and I thought, how on earth is that good? I thought that seemed like an oxymoron to me, and I was getting all up in arms. And as I talked with Mark and found out what he was about and the success that he's had in his companies, it's a tremendous asset, and we were very excited for him to agree to share some of his experiences with the rest of the community. Mr. Oakes has a wide and varied experience in not just talking but applying these concepts he'll be presenting today. And you have to be careful. I need to warn everybody, be careful with his familiarity of the subject. I find his presentation to be much like a calculus class where you can sit and watch him present his material and you'll sit back and say, of course, this makes perfect sense. But when you attempt to do the homework, and you're home all alone, you find that you just didn't understand it as well as you thought. This is one of those webinars you're going to want to review a few times after trying to practice the things he's talking about. Come back and review it again and again, and I think that you'll find that this webinar today will change your life. For those of you who are using Twitter, you can follow and add additional conversation and questions using the Twitter hashtag #PMV during this webinar, and then continue the conversation after this webinar. Today's Twitter PMV conversation will be posted afterwards on the Product Management Views blog post, and I'd encourage you to make comments and ask additional questions on this post. I'll also be collecting questions throughout the presentation and review them during the question and answer sessions. I'm going to pass the control over to Mr. Oakes now, and at the end of the presentation, I'll come back and conduct the question and answer session. Mark?
Hey, thanks, Val. I'm honored by that introduction, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to chat with all of you today for a few minutes and share some personal thoughts about thinking about a business from a systemic standpoint. My perspectives have evolved quite a bit over 25 years in corporate America as an entrepreneur, but especially from this school I call the School of Hard Knocks. Let me preface my comments today by saying that these perspectives are really a work in process. Our team sets goals. We fail quite a bit. We learn. We move forward, sometimes in little steps, but incrementally, as all of us do. And while we don't have it all figured out yet, we have seen some thought processes that tend to work in our businesses and make sense. We believe that a business is a system of systems which is designed to deliver on a promise that a business makes, either by design or default, to deliver value to its customers. You see, once a company comes into existence, by default, it's making a promise to deliver value, whether it intends to or not.